I want you to remember a few things. One, there's nothing wrong with pressure. And as parents, we must, two, focus on the athlete, not the sport. My name is David Sabi, and I help parents raise athletes. Now, a common question I get is, how do I support my kid in sports without putting too much pressure on them? The quick answer is you help them to be strong enough to handle the pressure. So in this video, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go over how, but also why. Let's go over the first thing, pressure. There's nothing wrong with pressure. Pressure can help us perform at our best. So let's look at a bell curve. This line on the bottom represents pressure, and this vertical line is performance. As you add pressure, you will find that performance will go up until it doesn't. And then it goes down. Too little pressure and you won't get your best. Too much pressure can kill performance. Now, this can be due to a ton of factors, but if you think about the brain or nervous system, at the beginning of the bell curve is an engaged parasympathetic nervous system, also known as the rest and digest, right? It's a great zone to be or mode to be in when you're recovering. But as pressure builds, your sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight, kicks in, which accelerates heart rate, gets blood flow to important places like your muscles, opens up the airways. It gets you ready for performance. So hopefully your athlete has some intrinsic motivation for their sport, right, for them to perform well. That's usually the beginning of that bell curve. However, too much pressure, whether it's external or internal, can overwhelm your system and put you into panic mode. You've probably seen it, right? Or experienced it yourself. Panic mode shuts down fine motor control and quick thinking, which every athlete needs to have that ability to physically move well and to, make the right decisions quick. So I know panic mode just because I grew up with a dad who would be yelling, "David, what are you doing?" all the time. So apparently I was in panic mode quite a bit. But before we move on, I also want to mention in the sympathetic nervous system, right, the fight or flight, there is a third response, and it is freeze. You may have seen an athlete under pressure just bypass the fight and flight and move right into freeze. So they don't move, right? They just freeze up. And you're like, what are you thinking? Well, again, that's the nervous system. So to bring my point back, there is nothing wrong with pressure, just how we handle it. So teaching our kids how to regulate pressure is key so that they can perform at their best in that, that sweet spot. Now, number two, focus on the athlete, not the sport. I've worked with kids and parents, and I found that many parents will focus on the sports. It's okay for your kid to do it, but I want you to understand that we must focus on the athlete. Trying to get, kids to be little professional basketball players or baseball players, whatever sport, running so fast and jumping so high, it's all good, right? Personally, I don't have a problem with that, except for the fact it's all based on the physical aspect. So I want you to remember the big four. If we can get your athlete to master the big four, they will be more likely to regulate pressure, better. And so the big four is physical, mental, emotional, and social. Get them to level those four up and they'll be great. Physically, that's strength, stamina, skills. The more confident they are with their abilities, right, with their strength, stamina, and skills, the less pressure they will feel from that. Mentally, the right mindset has a huge impact on handling pressure. The good question is, how does your athlete perceive pressure? As a challenge or a threat? Big difference on how your nervous system responds. A threat is more likely to put you into panic mode. Emotionally, this is a tough one to teach kids, how to stay under control, keep your cool when emotions are flying high, because pressure can amplify certain emotions. But I want my athletes to know it's okay to feel emotions. It's part of the game. No need to put more pressure on yourself, or on your athlete trying to hide those feelings. Now, in terms of socially, working well with others, teammates, coaches, getting support from you can relieve a ton of pressure, right? Just to have that support can help relieve some of the pressure, knowing that, hey, they're going to be trying their best. They're going to be making mistakes, and I hope they're making mistakes because that means they're playing at a higher level than they can, and that's going to improve their performance overall, improve their skills. But understanding that they can come to you and you're still supportive, you're still loving, can take a lot of pressure off. So activities, let's go some of the activities. Activities or exercises you can do. Visualization. And I can't stress it enough. When you are doing some visualization work with your athletes, make sure you are adding emotions. Make sure you have them feel the situation, right? And then practice the responses that you would want to have. So if you took, for instance, let's say they're in a game and I want them to feel it. If they're taking a penalty shot, right, in soccer or a free throw, I want them to be able to feel the temperature, right? So visualizing, have them focus on the temperature. Is it cold outside? Is it loud because the fans are screaming? Can you smell the grass, right? There's certain things I want you to just get into the details, then get into their emotions. How are you feeling? Do you understand that this is the game-winning goal, right? And start to get them into that high-pressure situation that they may find themselves in. From there, focus on pressure relievers. That's breathing, right? Mindset, perceiving it as a challenge and not a threat. Because remember, we talked about the nervous system. When you think of it as a threat, you're probably going to go into panic mode because your sympathetic nervous system is kicking in a certain way. So I don't want you to worry about putting pressure on your athlete. I want you to help your athlete learn how to regulate the pressure so that they can perform at their best, right? At their peak performing zone. With that, I just want to thank you for watching, and I appreciate that you are going after the most crucial part, and that's developing your kid into an athlete. So thanks again for watching. If you like content like this, subscribe and check out kidtoathlete.com. See you in the next video.